Welcome to Propelio TV. I'm Jason Bible, this is Kaylee McMahon, and we are going to talk about marketing for deals. How do you find those deals? Commercial, single family, what are our favorite ways of finding deals? I ran a house buying company and we bought and sold over 500 houses, mostly flip and wholesale deals. We also bought rental properties. I now do small apartments. We might even get into some more stories about small apartments and those sorts of things. And so today we just want to talk about what you need to do to find your next deal. I think, there's a lot of great education out there. This show is fantastic and the channel is excellent. But sometimes we get inside our own heads, like how do we find, deals? How do we find the next deal? Where do I go to, look for deals? What happens when I get a deal?
I get asked that all the time. They're like, how do you find your deals? I'm like,
That's the number one question, right? How do you find deals? So how do you find deals?
Okay, let's talk single family first. So how I have found them in the past. Usually so there's this really cool app. It's called Deal Machine. And that's something that I have on my phone. And if there's a certain community that you're focused in because you realize that the market has a need for something, like for example, there's a market in Denison that I'm focused, or Grayson County. So if you want to get involved up there, I'll give you the lay of the land, whatever. But there's a really big need for affordable housing up there. So we're building a lot of homes, buying a lot of lots for really cheap. And basically how we're finding how I'm finding those leads up there is using this Deal Finder app, or this, what I call it, Deal Machine app. So you just flick it on your phone, and well, actually before you open it up, you have your phone down, and then you walk up to the lot line or looking straight at what would be the property, and then you flip your phone up and turn on the app, and it will capture the tax data of that plot or lot of land. And it will ask you to confirm the address, because sometimes it'll pick up one right behind it or next to it, and then you just move your little marker. But it will tell you exactly the owner's information that you need to know to be able to mail them a mailer. So the app actually does the mailer for you. So you can tweak the mailer. I don't. It's just a real general one. You can see in there it has the photo that you took of the property when you turned on the app. And then also it'll say, hey, is this your like in cursive, it'll say, hey, is this your property? My name is Kaylee McMahon. I buy houses cash. If you'd like to sell, just email, call, whatever I have on there. So, and it sends, and you can adjust it via the app. It's like, I think 5 to 10 cents per card, and it sends in intervals that you set. So I set them to send every 2 weeks. I think monthly is too long. I think every day or whatever is too often to annoy them. And by usually the 10th card, I get a call that's like, look, I've gotten 15 of these things, 10 of these things, whatever. Like, what do you want? What will you give me for my house? And so then I have a script that I read to them right off the bat, just asking them certain things. So that's how I've gotten leads up there. And then also working with local investors, so builders, and then some of the contractors that do a lot of work up there too. They can always be your eye in that local area. And here's another great one I heard about recently when it comes to single family. Make friends with your UPS person or USPS person. Literally, I'm like, hey, I'll give you $500 if you find me a vacant house. So look for stuff that's got tall grass, tons of mail, sitting there. It's obviously vacant. There's no one there. Let me know about it, and if I end up closing on the property, I'll give you $500 or whatever. There's nothing wrong with doing that. So then you have your bird dogs out there, looking for stuff for you.
So that first one you had mentioned with that app, it's almost like you're driving for dollars, right? You're kind of walking around.
Oh, it's so fast.
And then you see something. So is it kind of like Land Glide, or is it just a little bit different Land Glide?
I've only used Land Glide to look up the information, but what's cool about the Deal Machine app is that not only will it find the information, but it will do everything else for you too.
So all the direct mail, fulfillment,
it'll
all
make
that
the
stuff.
Postcards, and like I said, if you're super crazy and you want to design them away, you can get on your PC and mess with it, but I just don't. I'm like, it's blue, everyone likes blue, it's fine. Yeah. And then you can set out the intervals of when it will go to the owner's mail, mailbox, not the house, right from your phone. So when I do the picture and do all this stuff, I'm like, click, click, send, done. And then you just keep going and do 10 more.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I'm big fans of direct mail, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. A lot of folks say, oh, the internet is going to change the way you get leads. I'm like, no, it's not really. People still love getting the mail. And I can't tell you how many times where when you're sending out direct mail, it literally is someone's making a decision at the time At the time your postcard hits is when they're going to make a decision. So let me give you guys an example. One of my business partners years ago had a clump of trees in his backyard. We had a storm that blew through the house, and the trees started leaning over the neighbor's house. So neighbor's freaking out, like, hey, dude, your trees are about to end up on my roof. And so he said, I went digging through my trash, looking for postcards from landscapers and arborists that have been sending a mail like all season, like, hey, I'll trim your trees, I want to trim your trees.
Interesting.
But he wasn't motivated to get those trees taken care of until they were over the neighbor's yard. So what I tell a lot of folks is, look, direct mail, the science of direct mail is finding the people who are most likely to sell a property, but it's literally that postcard sitting in that box when they're ready to make a decision. So right around January and February every year, everybody has 2 goals. Do you know what those 2 goals are?
To lose weight and make more money?
Yes!
Ah!
I call it getting ripped and getting rich. Getting ripped and rich, right? So I'm going to get ripped and rich, and this year I'm going to start working out in the gym, I'm going to get ripped, and then I'm going to get rich through real estate. So they send out postcards, and they don't hear anything. I'm like, Jason, I sent $1,000 in postcards. And then they go send out another $1,000 about nothing. And they send out another one. They go, I don't know. I don't think this works. So what ends up happening is all those postcards, there's all this marketing that takes place in a marketplace. All this marketing takes place in January and February. And these sellers start calling in February and March. But by then, these folks they've already given up. They're not picking up the phone on their Google Voice. So then they start rifling through the postcards that look like are actual businesses. And that's when they ended up on ours and they would call us. But it's not when you send the direct mail, oh, I sent a piece of direct mail, ergo someone calls me back and I close a deal. We had stuff that would sit for 2 or 3 years where they'd finally call us on a deal.
Wow.
So one of the biggest questions I get is, Jason, do you ever refresh your mailing list? And I don't. I pull them for a year, and unless I get something that Propelio sends out, where it's did I say it wrong again?
Yeah.
Propelio.
Propelio.
So when they send out like the trustee list and that sort of thing, I'll add those to a list. But like my non-owner occupied list and some of these other ones, I totally screwed it up, dude. Sorry. I will get it right by the 2nd season.
Next season on Propelio.
Propelio. I don't know what it is. I don't know why I can't pronounce it. So in any case, the direct mail campaigns, I don't refresh that often unless I'm getting new data like that comes from the county courthouse, right? Unless I'm getting new divorce data, unless I'm getting new trustee data. Otherwise, I just let that stuff run, and I keep hitting them, and I keep hitting them. So I found some statistics years ago that and I don't have them memorized, but like divorces, like how many people sell a house in the first 12 months after a divorce?
Oh yeah, lawyers. That's another place I get them.
Oh, that's another, yeah, lawyers. In fact, I'll give you a great lawyer tip. Here's how I do lawyers. Well, let me do postcards and then bring you back to lawyers, and we'll talk about that. So postcards, I just keep sending and sending and sending and sending. Like I just keep hitting them, keep hitting them, keep hitting them. And I can't tell you how many times where somebody says, I have 300 postcards here, and you're the only one that sent me 10, so it's pretty obvious you want the business. Like we bought a lot of houses doing that.
Yeah.
So let's go back to the lawyer thing. Here's how I do lawyers. I would go to the county database, courthouse database for the filings, and I would pull up the actual court filings. So let's say you have a probate. So they filed probate in court, and there's going to be the actual probate document, and it's going to have a couple of people in there. A lot of times it'll have the will, and what contact information do you think's in the will?
The heirs.
So the heirs will be in there, maybe. But you know who's at the bottom of a will? There's 2 people that have to sign.
The real estate professional and the attorney?
No, the witnesses.
Ah.
So if you have somebody that's a witness on your will, sometimes they'll have their contact information. The attorney's name will also be on there.
So I got half of it.
Yeah, so you got the attorney. So we'll have attorney, we'll have someone who's filing on behalf of the decedent, and we'll have 2 witnesses. We got 4 people. And a lot of times those 4 people that have filed or that are in the will have a phone number or email address. So what I would do every quarter, I had these little VAs that were combing all this data, and I would send all the attorneys an email in the city. You do not spam them. Let me tell you right now, this is not open up a MailChimp account and bomb these guys every 5 minutes. That's not how this works. I send them an email, and the email sounds something like this. My name is Jason Bible. I'm a real estate investor here in Houston. I buy houses from clients like yours. I found your contact information based off a publicly available document, typically some kind of file. It depends on what kind of document we're looking at. And I just want to give you a short description of what our company does for clients like yours. And it'll be like 5 or 6 bullet points. If you're interested in our services, give us a call or reply to this email. And every single time we buy a house.
Wow.
It's super inexpensive to do. And once you do this,
it seems like a lot of work, but if it's that effective,
it's pretty effective. And I'll tell you what happens. After a year or two, you begin to see the same attorneys are filing on behalf of the same families. So you really don't pick up that much new information. So really you can just keep, you just keep hitting that list. It'll be 1,000 or 2,000 folks. You just keep emailing them. So
smart.
There are, when you look at a marketing campaign, one of the things you've got to look at is how many different people can I touch in this process. So like, let's say someone dies. So someone dies, there's heirs, there's the attorney, there's a judge, there's witnesses, there are all these different people involved in this real estate transaction, potential real estate transaction. So why are we not contacting all of those people? Just to say, hey guys, and not spammy, not like weird. Like, so this is the worst one I'd ever heard. I know someone who's doing a probate campaign, and she was sending direct mail to probate campaign. Now, when I send out campaigns, my campaigns don't say, like, let's say pre-foreclosure. Hey, I heard you're getting foreclosed on. Please give me a call. Like, we don't do that. However, some people are not as sensitive, emotionally intelligent about some of these things. Probably a better way to put it. So this gal put together a direct mail marketing campaign for probate. And what she did is she hit everybody that had a probate filing and hit all the heirs. And it said something to the effect of, hey, I'm sorry for your loss. If you have some real estate you want to sell, give me a call.
Dang.
It was a little worded a little better than that.
That sounds like my ex-boyfriend. Oh my God.
Oh,
He'd be on the phone all day and be like, so who died?
Yeah.
What's their number?
Is this gonna...
No, didn't care at all. I'm like,
oh wow.
He's like, well, someone's gonna take care of it. I'm like, oh my God, it's so bad.
It's awful.
Yeah.
So
all day.
This lady had sent out a direct mail campaign, and she gets a phone call back from an irate woman.
Yeah.
And she said, I received this letter, and by the way, the decedent was my 19-year-old son. Yeah, pretty awful. And she put a post in one of the Facebook groups and said, I don't understand why she's mad at me. And I said, you're lucky she didn't come over to the house and pull you out in the street and beat you, because you're an awful person.
Wow.
Yeah, all you do is you just send the mail out. You just say, you don't say like, oh, this is a probate issue, it's a tax issue, it's a foreclosure issue, it's actually possible to get changes in credit data. Like you can pull that and you can mail those people. So for example, people who have big changes in credit, it's typically from a stress event in their life. A lot of it's medical related. You could buy some medical debt lists and that sort of thing, but you never mention that in your collateral. You always just send it out. Hey, my name is Jason, I buy houses. Hey, my name is Kaylee, I buy houses. Like, it's that simple. It's not, it's that everyone tries to craft these postcards and these yellow letters into some really sexy message. Like, I will tell you right now, I've never gotten a postcard. Oh, by the way, I'm a landlord. So I get stuff from you guys all the time. I get stuff from everybody. I guarantee you, if you're marketing in Houston, you're probably sending me stuff. And by the way, if you're doing cold calling in Houston, you're probably calling my wife, which is absolutely fantastic. She always tells me, like, so I always ask her, like, were they good on the phone? No, it was another VA. They were horrible. Anyway, so that's like the new thing. Everybody cold calls. Yeah, everybody cold calls now. So she goes, this is Sarah Bible. And they go, oh, okay, yeah, so you have a house for sale? And she's like, you have no idea who we are in Houston, do you? She's like, where are you from? Like, I'm in Florida. No, you're not in Florida. You're in Vietnam. Come on. Anyways, so I get letters. I get these yellow letters all the time. Right? And I never read one and go, oh my gosh, honey, did you see this yellow letter? This is incredible. You know, we weren't thinking about selling our house before, but this sentence right here, sold. We're moving. That's a beautiful yellow letter. Like, they have given 0 Nobel Prizes for yellow letter writing. What do they give for literature? I always forget. It's there's a Pulitzer. There's never been a Pulitzer Prize for yellow letter writing or postcard writing. I can guarantee it. So the reality is you just need to get it in front of them at the time they're ready to make a decision. That's the most important piece.
That's key.
So, and it's the same way with your online marketing, some of these other things. So that's one thing we've done really well in finding deals. How about you and networking? Have you bought some deals networking with folks?
I'm trying to think. Or not purchased them, but leads have come through that. Yeah.
Okay.
Where you'll be at an event and you'll tell people what you do. Or for example, you have established yourself as a part of whatever community it is that you're going after. So like Claire Coggins, her little honey hole is Greenville, Texas. I've spent time in Grayson County, so up in Denison and Sherman and a little bit of Van Alstyne, but up in that area. And so then you'll have these events and you go out and people are like, oh, hey. Or sometimes on Facebook, Facebook's a big one. I close a lot of deals in the DM. People are like, hey, I tagged you in this post. Someone's got a house over here for sale, or this and that and the other. And just because I might know the general value for that house, a lot of times it's kind of, I read it and I'm like, this is ridiculous. This is not worth what they're trying to sell it for. So I just ignore it. But sometimes it's a good deal, and sometimes I'll know somebody that will have the time to buy it and flip it and I'll wholesale it to them or whatever. But yeah, through networking, and Facebook is networking, you know what I mean? And then groups are like, hey, I've got a property in Sherman.
I will tell you, I had somebody I could tell they were making fun of me. They were like, they're a real estate investor in town. And they were like, well, I don't spend all day on Facebook. And I'm like, I'll spend all day on Facebook because I buy stuff. I got a 343 unit apartment complex sitting in my inbox right now. And we've looked at it a couple of times and I'm like, I don't know if I want it. And the guy that sent it over to me commented in one of my last threads and he said, hey man, what do you think of that deal? I'm like, I don't know. It's an okay deal, but it's amazing when you put it out there that I'm looking for deals and you participate. It's not just like on your page. Like I think we could do a whole show on social media, but just on Facebook. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people think it's like, well, it's just me, posting stuff to my wall or me just posting out there. That's kind of like screaming in a empty movie theater, right? Like nobody's listening. What you have to do is you have to get into the different groups. You have to start tagging folks.
Wait, you said your wall?
Or well, whatever it is.
Wasn't that MySpace?
No, Facebook had a wall back. Yeah, because you could post on your wall, right? I just post on my page. I have no idea. I honestly...
I think that was MySpace.
I honestly have no idea how Facebook works, but I'm damn good at it.
Well, you're probably good at knowing the algorithms too, because that's a big part of it too. Is understanding, like, for example, if someone comments on something that you do, or a video mm-hmm. is top content, right? So anything live is top content, and then anything that's a video close to it. Mm-hmm. But if you'll then let everyone do all their comments and stuff, and then like wait a little bit, come back in there, and then you start liking every single comment. Wait a little bit, come back in there, comment. And then do an emoji, mm-hmm. and then get them to engage, and then do it again, and then that's the stuff that Facebook likes, and Instagram and Facebook are the same. So they pump your material out there when you engage in that way. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you must be really good with the algorithms.
There's so much fun stuff on Facebook. What I love is getting people to stop, like when they're going through the feed, and then you can tell when they stop and they make like a comment or a question on something. So when I go to a networking event, I don't take 100 pictures. I take one. I take one picture. And I usually try to find that one picture that I know that everyone will stop at. And then they'll make a comment or they'll like, and I swear, and I know this happens on Facebook. If they stop, even though they may not say anything on that actual post, they get captured in my feed.
Yeah.
So we get back from the break. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Like, comment, share, get your questions in, and we will answer even after the show. Put them down below. See you guys in a couple minutes.
Propelio Academy, an all-in-one education resource for training in wholesales, subject to wraps, short sales, flips, rentals, BRRRR, property management, and more. Go to propelio.com/academy to get your scholarship today. Propelio.com. What does Propelio offer? Lead generating websites. Access to true MLS comps, off-market lead lists, and deal alerts. Get them all today at Propelio.com.
Hey folks, welcome back. Propelio TV,
Close.
Jason Bible and
Kaylee
Kaylee McMahon here. We're talking about how to find deals, how we find deals. I love direct mail. I do enjoy networking. So let me talk about what a networking event is. And I've talked about this in previous shows in the past, but it always needs to be reiterated. You're going to be at a networking event tonight, and I'm sure it's going to be very similar there. I equate real estate networking events to a middle school dance. The boys are on one side, the girls are on the other. Nobody's on the dance floor. Nobody's talking, nobody's moving. It's just like they're just hanging out right there. So what I would do is I would take me and let's say a business partner. So let's say Kaylee and I were to go out there. So I go to one corner, Kaylee goes to the other, and we network in the middle, and then we compare notes. And then Kaylee goes to that corner, and then I come to this corner, and we meet in the middle. And then we compare notes and say, all right, who do both of us need to now go meet? And typically when we go to a networking event, we're only looking for a handful of things. We're looking for deals, we're looking for money, or we're looking for some kind of vendor-contractor relationship. And I wouldn't pick all three. Like pick one. Like I'm looking for the money guy, money gal, I'm looking for the good GC. And then here's what you do. Here's the trick to the networking event. When you find those people, you talk to them, and then you leave. You don't have to stay to the end of the networking event.
Oh God, that's so true.
Don't stay. In fact, I've almost come up with a formula. If you stay at any networking event after 8:46 p.m. and it's an open bar, don't bother talking business after that. I have had complete conversations with people that I've called them the next day and they're like, we talked about what? And I'm like, yeah, bro, you told me to call you. Here's the number. You told me to call you. I mean, they're like, I don't remember any of that. What did you do afterwards? I went to another bar and then another bar and then we ended up at here and then we did this and we went to this guy's house and I'm like, have you even been home to take a shower yet? I mean, it's like, so these networking events turn into parties at about 8:46 p.m. Don't need to stay there any later than that if you're there. Now, if you're there, just have fun. Just go have fun, right? So that's how we do networking events. My business partner, Robert, likes to introduce himself to the speaker. That's how he does events. And then he likes to find the people who are holding court. Usually those are the loud ones. And then any of the vendors. And so that's how he does it. So how do you like to do networking events? Since you'll be at least one tonight, right?
Yeah, I pretty much avoid the vendors, depending on what I need, at that time. And I hate that it's a selfish thing, but I mean, you only have so much time, to get things done, and you work hard all day long, and then you go to these events, and you're usually I'm usually tired, I'm not usually pumped up, to spend another 3-4 hours, whatever it is, doing these events. So you have to be focused, and you have to have a goal, and I don't let my goals run the conversations. But again, you just target certain people that meet your goals. So yeah, I usually avoid the vendors. It depends on the event too. So recently in like multifamily, for example, I'm newer at multifamily, and so I've needed another insurance contact to be able to shop rates, or I've needed another whatever. So it depends on the event too.
Yeah, I can tell you, I am so funny. Whenever I introduce myself at a networking event and I'm sitting there chatting with people, I've actually heard people say, "Oh, you're as abrupt in person as you are online." And I'm like, yeah, because so somebody, let's say I meet with somebody and I'll say, so what do you do? Oh, I'm a wholesaler. Well, great. How many wholesale deals have you done this year? Because it's April. So how many deals have you done? I haven't done any. Oh, okay. Well, it's nice to meet you. And then I just move on because evidently they're not a wholesaler unless they tell me, oh, I started last month. And I'm like, okay. Or if they tell me they're a wholesaler, I'm like, I closed 3 deals this month. Great. Here's my contact information. How do I get on your buyer's list? So I do the same thing with lenders. I do the same thing with contractors. I'm trying to sort change. And what do you always have when you sort change? What's the coin that you have the most of?
Pennies.
Pennies. Now, that's not to say people are only worth 1 cent, but in a business sense, they may be. So I'm literally doing this. Penny, 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 penny. Oh, quarter.
Yeah. Cha-ching.
Cha-ching. Penny, 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 penny. Like I'm sorting this change so fast that I'm just trying to get to my goal. And that's the only way to do it. Otherwise, it's because these events are so huge now.
Yeah.
So We do events now in Houston. We do some in Dallas, in DFW, and we try and keep our events like 20 or 30 people because that's one of the big challenges. Like, ends up being a room of 300, 400, 1,000 people. It's like, oh man, you got to sort through all this stuff.
Yeah, I went to a commercial event the other day, and the guy who put it together, he was really excited that it was, I don't know, a lot of people. But you go there for the lecture, and it was on opportunity zones, which was great to learn about some of that information and legislation and all these things. But then, you know, once you're done, before you start, you usually have some networking time before a talk, and then you usually have some time after. But when it's so big, I mean, it honestly is more fruitful usually when there's a smaller group of people because you can target and have a more intimate conversation and then get out of there.
I've always loved, not to say that big events are bad or anything, those are good to go to maybe once or so.
I get overwhelmed, honestly.
Yeah, I really like the smaller events because you're able to go through people pretty quick. And that's a lot of fun for us and then you get to spend a little more quality time, a little QT.
Yeah.
A little QT with folks. So that's how we do networking. That's how we look for deals, networking for deals. Facebook is a great place for us. I have not bought any deals through the other social media websites yet, but
I've gotten some leads through Instagram.
Have you? Okay.
Yeah, because I've got a couple different Insta pages, and so I've got one it was specifically high rises, one that was for homes, one that's my own page, and when I cared, I haven't kept up with this, but when I cared, I had certain timing of posts, and then based on every single person that would like it. Instagram doesn't allow for this anymore, so you have to do it, unless there's some software I don't know about, you have to do it either yourself or have an assistant do it. When everyone that likes those posts, it's obvious that they're interested in that subject material. So whether it was a house or whatever, and then we would DM them with, hey, you know, this is available, when are you looking to move? Or some kind of question, and then they'd start responding, and then we'd take it off of that to like email or whatever, and then get them a list, and then see them in person, you know. So yeah, some from Instagram.
I think that real estate marketing any marketing really falls into two buckets, time and money. So you can do stuff on social media, but there's going to be a time component involved, right? Unless you start to get into pay-per-click, Facebook advertising, that sort of thing, which is a whole different animal. And then you've got the money component where if you're just doing AdWords campaigns and postcards and, you know, you're doing door hangers and sometimes bandit signs, that sort of thing. So you really got to choose which of those, you know, what do you have more of? You know, time or money? What are you willing to invest? But I will tell you this, at least based off our experience, it's a good 6 months before you're able to measure the effectiveness of your campaign. So when people send out yellow letters and they're like, well, I don't hear anything and I did it for like 2 months, it sucks. I'm like, that's not long enough. So if you guys in Houston, I know everybody in Houston's familiar with Mattress Mac, that's Gallery Furniture. And so he puts on commercials all the time. The guy just like haunts your dreams. He's got so many commercials, right? He doesn't do just one commercial on a Tuesday night after the news on Channel 2. Right? He is just pounding you with ads. You know, hey, I'm ready to sell you some furniture. Come to Gallery Furniture. Come see Mattress Mac. I mean, he's just always doing it. So when you're marketing, that is exactly what you're going to have to do in marketing. You've got to be in their face and relevant always. It's the only way any of this stuff works. Private lending's the same way. Finding deals. All marketing works the same way. So if you're expecting instant success, that's probably not the best way to do it. However, I will tell you, I've been buying a lot of deals on MLS lately. And I know people keep saying MLS is dead. I don't know if I've just got the hack or what the deal is, but I figured out we're like 50% from offer to contract on MLS right now. And it might be because we're looking for very specific product, but we're doing really well on MLS. So, and I don't think it's unique just to Houston because we've got some folks that are doing it up here and some other markets. But I think the investor community has abandoned MLS, like they kind of don't do it anymore, and the big wholesale companies do it, but they're probably not as efficient as we are as just little investors. So
do y'all look at expired listings?
We do. So here's how I do expired. So I will pull 3 years worth of expireds and terminateds, and then I'll cross-check them with solds because they may have been relisted.
Yeah.
Then I'll go back in and I'll hit that list. Because one of the things I noticed for those of you who have ever had a listing expired, withdrawal, terminated, those three.
Yeah.
The mail comes in hot and heavy. Like the day it goes expired, right? You just get pounded with stuff from realtors. But about a month and a half later, there's nothing. There's virtually zero. So what we do instead is we just reverse engineer, okay, well, what actually made it back in the market in the last 3 years and what didn't, and then let's hit those.
Yeah.
So if you hit some of these, if your time variables are too tight, you're going to be in there marketing when everybody else is. You don't really want to be in there at that exact time, and they're getting it from everybody, investors and agents and all this other stuff. I like to do the end around where it's like, well, what didn't come back on the market? Because my assumption is if it didn't come back on the market, it's probably because there's a title issue, there's an estate issue, the house is very distressed. Like there's something there, there's a problem. Because otherwise it would pop back up on the market. That's not always the case, but that seems to be the case most of the time.
Interesting, okay.
So that's how we do terminate, withdraw, expired, but they absolutely work. We've done some geo-targeting with some software companies that allegedly cross-reference all this nonsense. It doesn't work as well as they claim it does. But and then we've done a ton of Google AdWords, pay-per-click. At one point I had 150 billboards in Houston, which sounds like a lot, but Houston has thousands of them. So we had 150 billboards with our company on there. Oh, it was not. We would spend $100,000 a month in marketing, so it is not cheap. Yeah, I had like a third of a Lambo going out every month. You know, I had a Lambo a quarter just going out the door and postcards and billboards and all that other stuff. But I'll tell you my one billboard story, and then we'll go on to another topic for today. But we got a guy. We were trying to figure out if the billboards work. So seller calls us, says, "Hey, I'm interested in selling my house." Great. So we went out there, looked at the house, and put it under contract. So our sales guy that presented the offer to him said, "Hey, why did you call us?" And he said, "Well, we were in church, and we were trying to figure out what to do with Mama's house. And you know, we were discussing it after Sunday school, and we walked out, and we saw a sign. We saw y'all's billboard." I kid you not, that's what he said. He said, "We saw the sign, the billboard's right there by the freeway."
There we
go.
go.
Like, yes, that is awesome. That's how we bought it.
That's funny.
So,
oh my
pretty
God.
cool.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts?
Well, as far as lead gen, I just wanted to kind of give a couple that have been cool ideas that I've gotten from other people who've done this in commercial real estate. So one thing that I did was I reached out to, like, I've got a life insurance policy with Northwestern Mutual, and my buddy said, "Hey, reach out to your rep and see if they have I don't know if it's an acquisitions person or someone, because the way that he explained it to me was he was like, your policy, basically what they do is they have their own fund. So they take the money that you put into your policy every month or whatever, and you're not cashing it out, you're not using it. So their job is to do something to grow the money that you're lending them essentially for free into something for them. So they take it out and they put it into a real estate investment, like a multifamily deal that's going to give them double-digit returns. So say they get 15% return or whatever, and they put that money back in after a year or whatever timing it is that they time it as. But so basically these insurance companies own real estate at some point, or own equity in or whatever. And so if they own a large percentage of one or own one outright or whatever, he goes, if you can find that person that's aware of what they own in the company, or even ask your rep, she should know who does, and then talk to them. If there's a property that they mention that they always are having problems with, like, there's a meth lab at this place, or everybody's a slow payer, or there's a problem and you can just tell that the person's like, it's a pain in their ass, you know, if you could make an offer to them to say, hey, I am a buyer, or my company and I or my team, we buy properties like this. You know, they're like, oh, really? Okay, well, we have one in Detroit, or we have one here, or whatever. And if you can just get the T12 and the rent roll and go from there, and you may happen upon some great deals. That's how my friend Carrie had been able to find some really good deals that were just pains in their butts and they wanted to get rid of. And they weren't super highly distressed. They weren't crazy. They were a nuisance to them. So that was one way. And then as well, you know, with commercial stuff, you know, legal teams, accountants, brokers, lenders, everybody that is multifamily or commercial, whatever you're looking at, that niche specific, they're aware of what's going on in that community. And so like the last couple deals I've gotten were from people that fell out of contract, and so the broker obviously knew that and then presented it to me and said, hey, are you willing and able, do you want to look at this? And so that's where that came from. So if you kind of surround yourself with the people obviously in that community of whatever you're looking to buy, and ask them to keep you abreast of like things that people are falling out of contract, or someone needs an assumption or something, they'll come and tell you, you know.
Yeah, it's interesting, you know, when you let the word out and I always found this interesting. Of all the properties we bought, only 5% of them were in a financially distressed situation. So most of the time, you're not dealing with people that need money. So this whole like cash now, cash quick thing never really worked for us. And so we were always hey, we're looking to buy stuff, right? And so I think going to those asset managers on the commercial side or having conversations with property management companies and hard money lenders and those sorts of folks, hey, are there problem properties? Are the properties that you're taking back? Is it possible we could take a look at those? We'd be interested in making an offer. So, all right, I want to thank everybody for watching the show today. Comments, questions, likes down there below.
Lots of loves and likes.
Yeah, we like the loves and likes, and we will answer your Qs at the end of the show. So, thanks for watching, guys.